Well, today we're talking about the demonstration that you see the video of with the hydrogen and oxygen gas combined in a balloon. When you do this demo, you are going to add hydrogen first to the balloon, and the reason for doing that is because you want the balloon to float. And if you put too much oxygen in there and don't balance it out, then the balloon doesn't float and the demo just isn't going to work and look right. So we start with the hydrogen, see that we have enough gas in there to float, and then it's just a rough eyeball appraisal of getting around 2-to-1 hydrogen to oxygen in the balloon. The reason we work at that ratio is because of the whole stoichiometric relationship between those two gases in this reaction. And basically, the prime mix for those two is a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 hydrogen to 1 oxygen, and you work out the stoichiometric formula for that. You see that that's the way it works the best. Now, in reality, the percentages are a little different because of the fact of dealing with the atmosphere and the fact that you've got 20% in the atmosphere, you've got nitrogen in the atmosphere and that. Well, we've discovered and found through working with this that the hydrogen displaces the other gases, and so it's still close to that 2-to-1 ratio, but it isn't like you have to absolutely measure it precisely, and it's more an eyeball effect, and I've done it a number of times to where I can have it close. We purposely, in the video, did one that was under the 2-to-1 ratio, and so you see it flame and a little bit of noise, but when you get right close to 2-to-1, as you see in the last one, that one is almost just a bright flash and not much of a burn because it is more toward the explosive end of the reaction. Key components there to be aware of is you want to be some distance away, and so you want the candle on a stick that's 4 to 5 feet away, and you can of course add that to that by reaching up with your arm and lighting the balloon. Earplugs are recommended. It's going to be a sudden impulse of sound. It's not terribly loud as far as comparatively speaking, but it's still beyond the threshold of what they recommend for noise impact to your eardrums and ears, and so earplugs are a good idea, especially if it's a demo that's really light and you do it many times. And I have done it many times over the years, and that one early on didn't use safety plugs in that, and we have over time just realizing there's going to be attrition. And just like the gentlemen or the women that have been in the military and been in the cannon fire, and I work around some of them today, and their hearing is not so good because too many cannon shots. And but we learn that over time, and that's an information safety aspect we can pass on now. And this one is one that you could do outdoors, and it would be safe because the noise level isn't going to be high enough for the audience back away. You've got to be concerned about the whole climate we're in there and loud bangs and things like that, and you really have to make sure that everybody's well advised of what you're doing and stuff like that. And that can happen. You can do that, but that takes a lot of extra work, to go outdoors. In the classroom, we no longer do this at Purdue because you can't guarantee everybody's going to wear hearing protection or cover their ears and things like that, and it does go above a threshold of which there can begin to be damage. It's not like one time doing that's going to damage a person's hearing, but it does push in that level, and OSHA restrictions, stuff like that, restrict how much time you should spend at that high level of noise impact, and we don't want to get into that zone with this in the classroom if we can avoid it. The term there that gets kicked around a lot when you're dealing with combustion reactions and pyrotechnic reactions and things like that is whether it is a deflagration or a detonation. And a deflagration is a very fast burn. There can be sound coming out of a deflagration, but it's not propagated by the sound wave. It's not propagated by shock wave. It's propagated by thermal transfer of heat energy. So that's a burn. Detonation really doesn't have much of a thermal aspect to it. It does put out heat, but the thermal isn't the way the energy is translated or transfers across the material. It's the impact energy shock-wise, that energy that transmits the energy through the atoms and affects the reaction. And so unfortunately, because it doesn't look good on video, you don't see anything, you may hear something, but a really good high explosive detonation, there's no light output. So that doesn't do any good for video. So it can appear, you turn the sound off, you can miss the whole thing, other than things flying around. So people have realized what makes good video, and Hollywood's a master at that. You always see them adding hydrocarbon fuels to these things, so you get these huge billowing fireballs coming out of a dynamite explosion, which just is not real. It's not accurate. But that's what people think now. So, hey, this is going to be a big explosion. Watch this situation. And they look for the fireballs because you can visually see that. And that's not the case. And so the balloon really does point that chemistry out well, that you can see where the hydrogen burns, deflagration, very fast burn of the gas and so forth. But you add enough oxygen in there, we begin to approach that detonation point. It's probably not that fast yet still, but close to that, and you see much less light output. And because of how quick it's going. And in a high energy explosion, it is no real light output as such. It's just transfer through the shock wave. So the questions asked when you think about the stoichiometric equation, 2 hydrogens plus 1 oxygen, what does that give you as a product? Well, the product is water. But when we do that demonstration, do we get water? Do we see water? Well, the reality is we probably do, but it's probably more in a molecular form, and visually it just doesn't appear. And it's a small enough quantity that it doesn't create enough visual impact that we can perceive it. But the reality is, yes, you have the energy there, that you are potentially combining those two together and forming water molecules. And so it does work, but it doesn't present itself visually well in the video. And you'd have to get into all sorts of instrumentation to discover. Perhaps you could check the humidity is immediately in the vicinity after the balloon's done. What happened humidity-wise? Did it go up? Well, that would indicate the presence of water. But it would take some kind of fancy instrumentation to really demonstrate it. Visually to the eye, into the video camera, it's not going to be readily apparent.